Peace and blessings. It's the one and only Ray Imperial with Imperial Flame Kennels. Back to talk to y'all today a little bit about winter maintenance, right? Doesn't matter whether you got big boned cam dogs or, little pencil neck box dogs. Whatever you got, when it comes to the winter, if you have outside dogs, we need to talk about what that maintenance looks like. And I'm going to give y'all some very, very strong tips and tricks before the end of this video to control the heat inside the barrel for the dog, no matter what the temperature is outside. That's deep. All right. So now, and we're going to do this without using any electricity, right? So no wires, no none of that stuff. We're gonna like literally we're gonna show how we can keep these dogs warm, and so warm that when the dog comes out of that barrel, you go to check on that dog, the dog comes out of that barrel, you go to pet that dog will be warm to the touch. All right, so stay tuned for that. Let's get right into our winter maintenance haul, right? And this winter maintenance haul is going to include a little bit of outside maintenance and inside maintenance. First, with our outside maintenance, booyaka, right? You gotta have your straw bale, right? This stuff is excellent for insulating your barrels, your dog houses. It keeps that chill coming from the earth up off the dog, right? So you really want to go ahead when you're using this stuff, especially if you use the blue barrels for your dog house, which if you have American Pit Bull Terriers or Camelot dogs, then you definitely want to be using the big heavy duty sturdy stuff. You guys have seen what happens when you get inferior quality materials. I've showed you that here on this channel after showing you guys what Ghostface did to his so-called doghouse and his new barrel. So I say all of that to say 55 blue gallon drum. This is a great insulator for that 55 gallon blue drum, right? What you want to add to that, right? Your Diamond dog food, high energy, right? Any high energy dog food that you use, you are looking for numbers, right? And the numbers that you're looking for are going to be on the back of that bag of dog food. And typically, they'll be the first two line items under the ingredients section, right? And you can see here, we have first two line items are crude protein, 24%, and crude fat at 20%. Sorry for the camera shake, folks, but I'm kind of holding the camera a little bit upside down. But I wanted to get that in so that you guys understand, like, this is the type of food you want to serve, especially if your dogs are housed outside in the wintertime. That high protein, that high fat is going to do wonders, right? Now, I like to also go a little bit further with the feed and include some raw, right? Average leg quarter, 10-pound bag of leg quarters runs about $7.50, $8 in my local Walmart. I'll say closer between $7.75 and $8.25, right? $8.25. So that's per 10-pound bag of leg quarters. So you're talking about for roughly 75 cents to 80 cents, or 82 cents, right? Between 77 and 82 cents per leg quarter. You can get about a good pound of a good 1 pound leg quarter, right? So a small dog like a Tata, right? She could rock on that leg quarter by itself if she was indoors. She wouldn't need anything else. That leg quarter would be more than enough for her. In addition to that, the average leg quarter carries roughly about 27% fat. So you're talking about a pound of meat, 27% of that is fat, 73% of that is literally going to be lean meat, like lean white meat, right? Protein. So you add to that the bone and the gristle, all of that stuff, which is excellent for the dog. A leg quarter is almost as close as you can get to a complete meal, but you cannot serve it every day exclusively as the only protein you give the dog. Dogs will develop what you call an allergy to that, right? I forget what the word for chicken is, but they'll develop an allergy. They can develop an allergic reaction if you're just serving exclusively chicken every day, and no other proteins, not mixing anything else in that, right? So that's our 10-pound bag of leg quarters, right? Now you can actually alternate between a day with the kibble and a day with your leg quarter, and that would be pretty comfortable for most dogs, especially if they're housed inside. How much of that kibble you're serving is going to depend on whether or not that dog is inside or outside for the winter. Outside dogs get twice as much, at least in this camp, they get twice as much as the indoor dogs. That's just an automatic, that's just how I do it, right? Furthermore, you gotta have your 73% lean, 27% ground beef. This also excellent for keeping weight on the dog in the wintertime if the dog is housed outside. This is a good stick to your ribser, right? So we want to keep that stuff on deck. The only reason why we don't use it in terms of use it exclusively is because it's just expensive, right? Ground beef right now is right around $3.70 a pound. So at 10 pounds of this, which I bought today, that's an automatic $37 out your budget, right? So you got to keep that in mind. Put together those, that's about $25 worth of meat. And then of course I doubled that up and did that again, right? So you have your ground beef and you have your 10-pound thing of chicken. Important for keeping weight on the dog is deworming, right? Worm prevention. So to that end, we have Big's pumpkin seeds, right? And I have yet to find the dude, man, that had the pumpkin seed powder stuff in bulk. I'm gonna try to track him down again. But when I don't have access to the pumpkin seed powder in bulk, I go to Walmart, pick up these little bags, $2.50 a piece. It's a lot of manual, sitting there cracking the shells and crushing down the seeds. It's a lot to do manually, but I usually serve about 10 seeds, 10 to a dozen seeds per serving, right? Per dog. And I'll do that, man, till the bags run out. Especially my dogs are inside right now. You know, we're expecting nor'easter type conditions, and you know, I just enjoy having them inside right now. And that gives me an opportunity to go ahead and do this type of deworming regularly, right? So I know that I can pump them full of this stuff before they go back out on the yard, and they'll have, you know, like they won't have any internal parasites eating away at their intestines and so forth, as they try to, you know, as the body tries to retain fat and retain heat. Also good for internal parasites is garlic, good for blood flow, right? So these are the types of things that we use for winter maintenance. The one thing I don't have here, I didn't buy any today, but that I also use for winter maintenance in the dog's feed is Red Cell, right? Red Cell comes in the brown bottle with the white cap. A lot of times you will see that it says for horses, but it's Red Cell comes with a certain amount of iron in it. It's very much like Dine, but a lot more vitamins and minerals, right? It's not just to be putting weight on the dog. It's actually a vitamin and mineral supplement for sporting dogs, right? So with the red cell, there's a certain amount of iron in there that really helps to fortify the animal against anemia and things like that in the winter time. Okay, so that's dealing with some of the outside stuff, right? And before I get off of this subject, I promised I was going to give you guys a good tip and trick for dealing with winter conditions when you have outside dogs and you need to control the temperature inside the barrel without electricity. Booyaka. All right. Let's talk about these, right? These hot hands are normally something you would keep in your pocket, right? You're out working, whatever the case may be. You kind of need to keep your hands warm and keep your fingers flexible, so you stick them in your pocket, and your pockets are warm because you got these hot hands in there. Well, I was actually working on a yard last year, and I had some of these in my pocket, and something gave me the bright idea to just take them out my pocket and before I left the yard and throw them in the barrel with Tata. And sure enough, when I went to check on her the next morning, it was about 8 hours later, when she came out of that barrel, she was hot to the touch. You'd have thought the dog had a fever, she was so warm. So these are very, very effective at providing heat inside the barrel so that the dog, regardless of how cold it is inside, can always maintain that body heat that's going to keep it alive. All right. So let's talk about the different products that Hot Hands offers. Now, last year, I didn't have access to 8 hours. Matter of fact, let me say that the only ones I had were 8 hours. These last 18 hours. So this is going to come in really handy this year. And the way I want to use these is I'm going to actually put this down in the bottom of the barrel, cover them with a blanket, and then put the straw on top of that. And what that's going to allow me to do is to change these out without losing a whole lot of straw, right? Instead of having to take straw out of the barrel, throw them down, and then, throw the straw back in on top, right? Like, that means you're going to pretty much be using fresh straw every time you change them out. And every 18 hours, although that's not inconceivable if you work a full-time job and, like you're trying to do this, stick and move style, that's going to be a little bit inconvenient. By using the blanket, you keep all the straw in one place. You can literally use that blanket, lift up the straw, get underneath there, pull this thing back out, or pull the old one out, throw a new one in there, lay the blanket back down, everything hunky-dory, right? So that's really, really, really not only convenient, but extremely effective. I invite you guys that have outside dogs to try this. One of the other things using a blanket does for you is that it allows you to, using a blanket allows you to cover this thing so that the dog can't get to it, right? A lot of times if the dog senses that the heat is coming from a particular place, it will literally try to dig that out. So when you put that blanket down over it, it should protect both the packet, and protect the dog from getting to it. Alternatively, we have this packet on the right. Now this packet on the right only lasts 12 hours, right? But the key to this is this. If you're really worried about the dog being able to get into these, right? Because they're loose under there or whatever the case may be, you can stick these on the top of the barrel. And I'm actually going to try this out. I really feel like this would be more effective, but this should be effective as well, because this will also help to control the heat in the barrel. Where the dog would actually be kind of laying on top of these, that won't be the case here, right? But it should be enough to control the temperature in the barrel and reduce that temperature. So I want to try these again. I didn't have these last year. I didn't even know these existed. The fact that they're stick-ons and they're 12 hours, hey, I'm gonna give it a shot. These I only had for 8 hours last year. Very, very effective. Very, very effective. So that's my tip and my trick for maintaining heat inside the Blue Barrel despite what the temperature is outside, right? So y'all take that one with you. Now we have a couple of other items over here. These are for more inside maintenance. You got your wet mopping pads. I also use those on the barrels. You know, when I'm outside, I just kind of take a scrub brush, put that pad on the bottom of the scrub brush, and then you just go around the inside of the barrel or inside their crate. You know, inside the living area, especially after I've steam cleaned everything. A little steam clean, you go behind with these mopping cloths. Excellent way to handle that. And this is just a piece of hardware I picked up for general maintenance. I got some locks and stuff I need to fix. I gotta clamp some stuff down, so we'll be using that for that. So all in all, guys, that's today's haul. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this long for the video. I hope this little tip on the hot hands inside the Blue Barrel really does help to change the game for how well you are able to maintain your dogs in the wintertime for you. All right. This is Ray Imperial signing off. Imperial Flame Kennels. Remember, in a cold world, keep the heat.